999,000 shillings. It's not possible by law. So don't focus your head on a check. You can't get a check.
Now, Murkomen has put it. No, listen, there is one question, Murkomen.
By law, you cannot get a check of a million shillings. Because, no, let me just explain. Every payment you are going to make will be RTGS. So his obsession with a check, so saying, you know, is what is, you know, Murkomen, confusing.
I think I have put it very clear. I have not, he is the one introducing the issue of the check. Because he wants to cover up all these issues. And he has just put it, he's just raised a very good, valid point. There are farmers who are paid 100 million.
Yeah,
why are they not being investigated? Why is it that this only, exactly. Why are only these people being investigated?
If you read the letter, because I'll focus with you with the Senate report. Yeah, just hold on, just hold on to say.
Yeah, but my question is, as you look for that, if something is subject of investigation, why would you say there's no problem? Why can't you wait for the investigations to be done?
Exactly. Why are you defending?
I'm just trying to tell you, first of all, there is no, the letter that Kutuny is reading does not say we are investigating.
Sorry?
It doesn't say we are investigating.
Who doesn't say investigating?
EACC.
According to what he has from EACC.
He has, no, I have the same letter, it's here.
Okay.
It doesn't say investigation, that's lies.
I want to look
and
at,
that's why I'm trying to tell you that let us not use the problems of the maize sector. Maize sector is ailing. Maize farmers need to run away from maize farming. Those who will remain doing maize farming for money must do contractual farming.
Okay.
Because
now,
the future...
There is an issue.
Yeah. Let's not focus so much about people who have specific political agenda to just attack the
deputy president. That's one way.
Yes, thank you.
That's one way to look at it.
Okay.
From you. But you cannot also say that because Honorable Murkomen, farmers have not been paid.
Exactly.
That is true.
Let me finish.
Including myself.
You just said you were paid.
Yeah. No, not all of it. Not all of it.
Let's take a look at your tweet. Let's take a look at your tweet when this was happening, at the height of this.
Yeah.
I think this was in early this year or late 2017.
Yes.
Honorable Murkomen, he said 6 months ago, I delivered my maize to NCPB. Until now, I have not been paid.
Yeah.
Have you been paid now?
I've been paid partly.
Okay. Yeah. From next year, I won't plant maize again.
Yeah.
I have no contract with anyone to feed him or her with ugali.
Yes.
I'm moving to avocados. It's time for the farmer
to think profit fast.
To think profit fast. Well, you'll tell us much later on if you've moved to avocados. But my question is this, Honorable Murkomen. You are the senator of Elgeyo
Marakwet.
You are also the Senate Majority Leader.
Yes.
You are a high-ranking member of the Jubilee Party.
That is true.
What Kenyans wanted then to hear from you,
and
especially farmers who you represent, was what you're doing about what was happening.
Yes.
Yet you are also saying, I mean, you're also lamenting and removing yourself from this situation.
I am not lamenting.
You are lamenting
Hussein,
then.
Read that tweet. It says, ladies and gentlemen, wake up. We cannot continue dying in maize.
Now, that is fine.
Listen, Hussein, as a leader,
there was an issue you're not addressing.
Which was?
Which was farmers have been shortchanged.
But listen to me, Hussein. Listen to me, and listen so good. I have told you the production of maize in the country is 37 million bucks.
Right.
Have you heard me?
Yes.
4 million bucks are only needed by NCBB. There will be 33 million bucks which will be sold out there. And many farmers, by the way, let me tell you, and I want you to appreciate this. Even after delivery of maize between November up to December, the place is full.
Yeah, but
where will you else deliver?
But that
listen, that's what I'm saying. Listen, the contract for strategic reserve does not say government shall take all maize in the country. Yeah, that is why, as a leader who has a foresight and who is still young and who is so honest to his own people, we have said, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot do the same thing over and over again. It's not giving us any money. It's not changing our lives.
Let me help.
We must do things. We must do things that are going to create a yield.
Let me help.
You respond.
Yes.
First of all, Honorable Murkomen, when the Gazette notice for duty-free importation was actually for 6 million bags,
we
ended up getting 10.5 million. So there was already a problem.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So we imported 10.5 for 3,600 shillings. So the idea of 4 million is actually a fallacy. You talk about 4 million bags.
No, that is to strategic grain reserve.
Now I want to explain to Murkomen.
Remember, let me explain to you.
Let me help Murkomen because he doesn't understand.
The maize that was imported to the country. You remember there was a shortage of maize. Yeah?
Yes,
and there were protests in the country, people were not getting food and so forth.
Yes.
So there was opening door for importation of maize for a certain short period of time.
Yeah.
Our report finally shows that that importation exceeded the amount that was expected.
Let me...
But that's a one-off problem. Hussein, we are discussing what is the long-term solution to the maize problem in the country.
But that has been discussed for years.
Let me explain.
You'll explain, but I want you to respond to this as well.
Yes.
You're also an MP of the Jubilee Party.
Yes.
Are you saying you have no responsibility in this, and now you actually accept and admitted that you're also part of the people who supplied this maize to NCPB?
As a farmer.
As a farmer.
Yes.
And you are paid. And most of these people you're saying you're fighting for were never paid. How does that settle with you?
There are two things that are happening here. We are asking the government, why are you not paying people who supplied maize to the NCPB? That is the first thing.
You were paid.
Two, I was paid because
I
I supplied my maize early December. Immediately it was open. The farmers who are complaining that they have not been paid are farmers who supplied maize part of January. And most of these farmers, by the way, the majority of them are genuine farmers.
And small scale.
The concern that we have today is that
because they were crowded out, isn't it?
No.
By that time.
No, because the cartel at that time
yes.
came and took maize to cereals board. They hold hostage NCBB.
Earlier, isn't it?
Early January. Two, the issue that Murkomen is talking about 37 million, bags. In fact, in the country, the demand for maize is 47 million because it is assumed that one person takes a bag a year. So the demand for maize in the country in a year is 47 million. And then two, if Murkomen want to tell our people that diversify because there is no demand for maize, why does the government import maize? If the government doesn't import maize, we will find market for our maize.
Good question.
And then two.
Good question.
Yes.
Yeah, finish, please.
And then lastly, when they talk about diversification, we have already diversified. There is passion fruits. People are also doing livestock. But what I have seen with another group of politicians, instead of helping to build capacity on the farmers, what they do, they go for a public function.
Like yourselves.
They raise money for goats. Instead of putting an abattoir and a processing plant, value add on all those agricultural products.
You're talking about what happened at...
exactly.
Is it Kajiado?
In Baringo. So these are the issues that we talk. When you are in crisis, then you talk more. So what we are raising here is that this is a government that we voted for. And we expected this government to protect a farmer. Farmers are all over the world. All over the world, they are protected by their own government. This is a sector that employs over 75% of the country. This is a sector that feeds the nation. The GDP generated by the government on the agriculture sector is over 25%. So then if you kill the sector, then you are killing the Kenyans.
So why is the government Deputy President Ruto only? Why are you addressing Ruto only? There's President Kenyatta, isn't it? There's the agriculture.
You've had me very clear that I talk about government.
You talked about Deputy President.
And then when going further to that, and I don't mince my words, by the way, Deputy President comes from the region where farmers are suffering. All of us are leaders from the region must be held responsible.
Including yourself.
Including
all of us.
Exactly.
And that's why I was saying, let me answer that.
But when they were and still are raising these concerns, Honorable Murkomen, personally, I don't remember you complaining.
Why should I complain?
Let me finish. What if you complain? Trying to do something about it? Because you're a leader. You're a leader. Let me just finish.
Because it doesn't feel the pain of the farmers. It doesn't feel the pain of the farmer.
Okay. I don't remember you.
Because he has a salary. He has a salary.
Just listen.
Okay.
He gets his salary.
All right.
Yes. He's in government.
I don't remember you, Honorable.
He makes his money elsewhere.
Complaining.
I don't remember you, apart from that tweet then.
Yeah.
I don't remember you raising issues and wanting to know who is behind this. Okay. Number one.
Number two.
Number two, I don't remember, what was the other point? You raising issues about this, first of all.
Yeah.
And number two, he's talked about the price of maize at 2,300. Of course, you're saying consumers, and I mean, this, if it goes beyond that, this also has to be passed to the consumers. And several times we had a cabinet secretary after cabinet secretary promising to pay farmers next month, next week, the week after, the people who voted for you, Murkomen, and you did not say anything about this.
Can I say this?
A leader in
I
the
don't believe in this type of politics. I don't believe that I can be elected as the senator of Elgeyo Marakwet County and then go and cry with people in Itet or in Tot. That is backwardness. Hussein, I am elected to be the solution.
We are not crying.
Listen,
Okay, he's looking
no,
for solutions.
exactly. He's not looking for solutions.
We are looking for solutions.
He's looking for political mileage. I have been elected to provide solutions. That is why, as the majority leader, I work with a report of a committee to solve the problem.
Hussein, one of the role of the
if I was a
one of the role of the
advisor,
Senate.
let me just
one of the role of the Senate. Hussein, let me put it. One of the role of the Senate. Let me just put this. So then you
don't know the roles of Senate. Just relax.
One of the role of the Senate. Agriculture is a devolved function. Murkomen has been in the Senate. This is the 6th year. In fact, is the leader of the majority. The role that even we are playing as members of parliament is not part of our role. So then this is the failure of the Senate.
Can I respond?
And you know what?
Can I respond to say?
This is the time they are coming with a report. Where have they been for the last 5 years?
Can I respond?
Yes.
You know the problem of people who have very little knowledge. You know, they jump and up and down on issues that they don't understand. If I was presidential advisor, with the right ear of the president with me, why would I have to go and shout in Eldoret? And that same president whom I used to advise, I am elected in the same party. Do you know, Hussein, how many meetings we have with the president? Do I have to go and shout out there? Do you know how many meetings we have with the minister or the deputy president? Do I have to televise and show the picture so that it shows I'm working for my people?
Fair enough.
So the point is this. The point is,
just listen.
Joshua.
I am not. Yes. Then I respond to that.
It's important to listen.
Yes.
Yeah. When you have been elected to office, yeah, you have a choice. Number one is to be a noisemaker out there and earn, short-term political mileage. Number two is to solve problems permanently for your people.
Okay.
And Hussein, we have been at it continuously to the point where we are working on this report. We have been at it to provide lasting solutions. To the contrary, my friend here was in parliament long time before me. Okay. But his track record, including even in contribution of the floor of house, are negligible, if there is any.
Okay, I'm still going back to you.
I want to raise,
you haven't answered my question.
Yeah.
You're saying you don't want to complain. I'm not asking you to complain.
Yeah.
And if you're saying maybe you raise this at a higher level, silently, it's still 1 year down the line. Clearly that hasn't worked.
What doesn't work?
Farmers have not been paid.
Hussein, I'm insisting, I've told you over and over again, that as we speak at the moment, you need to understand first, the farmers who are suffering most to start with are those who are unable to deliver the maize to the strategic grain reserve, which I told you it can only take up to a certain amount of maize. Number two,
because they were crowded out.
No, that's what I'm saying.
By the cartel.
That's not true. That's not a fact. No, that's not a fact.
Okay.
When you say a fact, it's after investigation. You can't say there's investigation for a fact.
Okay.
Number two. Have you asked yourself, Hussein, why would maize? Just hold on. Why would maize from Uganda and Tanzania be cheaper than our maize?
Honorable Murkomen,
no, I'm asking you.
Were there people paid 200 million? You said it yourself.
Absolutely, because they deserve.
Because they deserve.
Of course.
I want to say.
You see, listen, Hussein. I know farmers from Wazingishu and Trans Nzoia
who grow that kind of amount of maize.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I know
NCPB, Honorable Murkomen.
And let me conclude by saying,
yes,
the conversation we should have as a nation is why is it possible that you can import maize from Mexico millions of miles away, and still land in our country cheaper than the maize we produce?
Fine.
How can let me respond.
NCPB, and we did a story about NCPB, that was Sen Murkomen the last 2 days, and he asked this question to NCPB officials who said, that is impossible. It cannot work. What you're saying cannot work.
Exactly.
What do you mean?
Nobody can produce. Nobody can produce in a farm and supply that amount of maize in the country.
Can I ask you?
NCPB has agreed to that.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? I know, listen, there is a farmer in Nakuru who has 3,000 acres of maize. Those 3,000 acres of maize, if you produce even 20 alone per acre, you will just listen.
I'm listening.
You will have 60,000 bags of maize. 60,000 of maize times 3,000. How much money is that?
Let me
that is about. That is 200 million.
Okay, what you're telling me, there's no problem with whoever was paid 300 million.
I have no problem with this. I have personally no problem
because there is a difference.
Some of the farmers, and I can give you example. Some of the farmers, and I want to give you example.
You remember the president talking about this?
Yeah, let me just come to this.
I'm saying nobody actually can do such a thing.
Let me just come to
this. Remember that.
Listen to this. If you see this farmer called Celestine Chepchirchir, who has been paid 385 million shillings, Hussein. She comes from Moiben, and her heritage is Elgeyo Marakwet County. This lady not only is being paid for supply of maize from her own farm, she's also being paid for mobbing from her neighbors who would otherwise not reach NCBB.
Okay.
There is absolutely nothing wrong in law for what she did.
The NCPB says that is wrong.
Yes.
And we have...
It is not wrong in the law. It's not wrong in the law.
They spoke to citizens.
It's not wrong in the law.
No, let me, that is unethical. Because Murkomen, when you become a leader, you must also be guided by ethics.
So
now,
okay. Before you even say that,
then
Murkomen, if you're saying there was no issue, if you're saying there was no issue, and you think it was right, then why did you tweet when you said 6 months ago I delivered my maize to NCP until now I'm paid, from next year I won't plant maize again?
You know what happened?
No, because you're very angry.
Can I tell you what happened?
So why did you tweet that?
Immediately NCBB came to the play. They held. In fact, it was after I did that NCBB had a meeting with the Professor Kamar committee, and they agreed to pay us, and they have paid us partly. You know why? Every sector in this country where NCBB has started, and EACC has started investigations, they hold on payments. That's why you saw many people are whatever. When they held our payments, the delay now became even inordinate.
You know, Hussein, it is very unfortunate when you talk to a champion or a mobilizer for the cartel.
That you're referring to Murkomen now?
Because his language is a champion of the cartel.
Why?
He knows very well that there is no way that you can supply maize that amount. I want to say the biggest farmer in this country is ADC for maize production. But how much is it being paid by Cereals Board? It's less than 100 million.
Not true.
Then I want to tell Murkomen that it is very unfortunate that farmers are suffering and you are here defending the cartel. It is very unfortunate, Murkomen.
What are you talking about?
Murkomen, it is very unfortunate that you can claim that we cannot find market for our produce, yet for the maize from Mexico, it is being bought here
at a cheaper price.
3,600. Then you buy for the farmers at 2,300. In fact, the language of diversification is a language where they want farmers to produce less, so then they can get the window of importing more maize. So then...
Hussein.
Let him finish. Just let him finish.
And I want to say, Murkomen, it is very unfortunate that you are holding that position at the behest of the people who elected you. Before you talk about national issues, first of all, consider the people who elected the government. So the concern that we're having, and Murkomen, this must be very clear, we are not playing politics. If we are playing politics, then we are better in a better position. Agitating for farmers to be paid 3,600, is that playing politics?
I think we're saying...
I
think my friend is missing the point.
You respond.
Another issue, just for me to finish. Murkomen, agitating for farmers.
Don't become regurgitated.
No.
Let me just say this.
I just want to ask him one question. I will ask him.
In the Celestine case, I want just to go back.
Murkomen.
Celestine Chepchirchir, a supplier of maize from Wasingishu, on behalf of so many small-scale farmers who only have a half an acre, a quarter an acre, 10 acres, 15 acres, who have now not been paid because the lady who was assisting them to mobilize the maize to collect and take them to NCBB is being punished for nothing.
Now, let me, Hussein, allow me to answer that one. Murkomen, allow me to answer that.
Joshua cannot tell me she doesn't know this lady.
Hussein.
He cannot lie to me to say Stephen Kiprop Mayo, who is a farmer in his own county.
Hussein, allow me to respond to that.
Made
the reason why
to supply the maize of 255 million.
Now, Murkomen, that is the failure of government.
You see,
to provide buying centers at the.
But do you doubt this lady?
Now, I doubt.
You doubt what?
Those are
contributes.
I don't know her. I don't know. But I want to say, Hussein, this one. I want to put it very clear. Please give me an opportunity to put it very clear. Murkomen, if the government had provided buying centers in Moiben, if the government had provided buying centers in Tuigai, we could not be having this kind of people who come in the middle and pretend to be.
But how will government provide buying centers at the local level when their member of parliament is making noise in Eldoret? Their member of parliament, listen, Hussein, let me just... Listen.
He's making noise
the member of parliament of Cherangani constituency from 207 up to 2013 was Joshua Kutuny.
Right.
And he had an opportunity to register the farmers,
I agree.
to push for NCBB to go closer to the people.
Okay.
Why did he have to wait until our committee?
It still
Now,
doesn't
Hussein,
take the government
Hussein,
of the blame.
Hussein,
They
No,
could have
that's
done
what I'm
that.
saying.
Hussein,
That's what
let
I'm
me
saying.
answer that.
We
When I was
cannot-
a member of
we
parliament,
cannot
We are
sit
going back
down.
and forth
We
now.
can't sit down
Let me
here
clarify.
and quantify about how government has failed, and
let
yet
me-
we are
let
the
me
ones who
put
make
it.
government work.
It is important for me to answer that.
Exactly. On one thing first.
Murkomen.
If you
Yes.
just allow me. You're saying Murkomen.
Yeah.
The farmer, Celestine,
for example, yeah.
385 million she was paid.
Yeah.
There are people who are still waiting for about 500,000 shillings to be paid.
Yeah.
You think this was right to pay her fast?
Absolutely.
That amount of
Absolutely.
money? And all these other farmers who are waiting on the line to be kept up.
Just imagine.
Yes.
Okay, number two. I
Yeah.
haven't finished. Number
Yeah.
two. So you think they should not even be investigated?
Yes.
They should not.
No, investigation. Anybody should be investigated.
But you're saying there's nothing they've
I am
done.
saying there is nothing illegal they have done. And the
So
reason
to
why
you, the investigation is needless.
No, it's up to EACC to make the final judgment. But listen to me. There are hundreds of farmers in my county and in Uasin Gishu County who supplied their maize through this lady, which Joshua is now saying that has occurred because NCBB is far.
Okay.
Yes.
And we are saying we cannot punish this lady for the failure of government to go and collect maize closer from the people.
You have already pronounced it.
Hussein, by the way, Hussein, there is something that I want to put it very clear before we proceed, Murkomen. By the time I was living as a member of parliament, there was a buying center in Kachibora where farmers used to come.
Okay.
But 5 years down the line, and then Hussein, let me proceed. Even by 2013, there was a buying center in Moiben. By 2013, there was a buying
So
center.
you're saying the MP has failed twice?
No, but this
For
is the
being
government.
re-elected.
The government never supported the process. The government never supported. And in fact, even the fertilizer. What happened with the fertilizer? Failure by the government to provide buying centers where fertilizer is distributed closer to this small-scale farmer.
Okay.
Now, the cartel are taking advantage. Fertilizer is brought to cereals board.
What I am only glad about this conversation,
Someone who has
what I
money
am glad
comes and
about this
moves up
conversation
all the fertilizer.
is that
Fine.
we are now talking about government, which includes me and him.
That's for
But
sure.
this mentality of every time
But I
talking
am a
about
member of
William
parliament.
Ruto, talking all the time
But
about
I
William
have-
Ruto, it should stop.
Okay.
And focus on
question.
us
Just
as
answer this
elected
question.
leaders
You
providing
had the
solutions.
president saying
You
this
see,
is not
that
possible.
is
Let me
that
finish.
is the language of sycophancy. That is a language of people who are used to handouts,
Kutuny.
who want to defend
Kutuny.
someone.
The Kutuny.
But the issues here we are raising
The thermometer
are
for
so
psychophants
serious.
in this country is in you. And by the way, Kutuny, you cannot even utter a word of Murkomen or any person being psychophone of William Ruto. Because William Ruto picked you from dust, my friend, when you were selling maca and made you who you are. You cannot be hard to insult William Ruto and
But
say
I picked,
we are
but at the same Murkomen,
No.
I picked you from the streets and made you the senator.
No, come on,
I used
my
to give
friend.
you money every week, and you know that.
You know, don't lie.
My
about-
wife used to support you every week.
Don't make lies.
Because
Okay,
you
I
come
think
from
I-
the same
So,
region.
respect.
So you must also respect
think-
us. So we are not psychopaths.
I think we are digressing into
Yeah.
others. But
You remember I
let
used
me
to
just-
support you
no,
every
no,
week
no,
when
no.
you're going to Arambes.
All right, now that you brought that issue.
And even the M-Pesa, still the
No,
records
come
are
on,
there.
relax.
Okay.
Don't lie.
Even the first car I bought for you, you remember? The Harrier that you used to campaign. So my brother, respect the
I'm
elders.
actually torn. I don't know whether to let all this go on because
Respect the elders.
This is
I'm just
shocking.
trying to tell you.
This is shocking. But now that you're talking about cartels, I'll just read this from
Yeah.
Korir Kipkirui Isaac. You know what he says? You don't have to respond. You can if you want. But Korir says on Twitter, retired sycophant versus researched sycophant, squaring out at Newsnight.
Agreed.
Okay, I doubt if anyone of you wants to respond to that.
No,
but,
you know.
But Honorable Murkomen, let me just...
We have to respond. We have to respond because you have read it publicly. There is a confusion about people standing for what they believe in or supporting an individual being branded as sycophancy. And I want to tell whoever read that, the person who read that tweet, that I am not ashamed of my stand for President Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto.
Okay.
And I am not ashamed for my stand for Jubilee.
Okay.
And I'm not ashamed for my contribution to change this country.
You know, when you talk about these prizes and these people who are paid this money,
Yes.
you remember the president himself saying this is not right and this cannot happen.
And it's true that Celestine never produced the maize. That's a fact. But
So
I
you
told
agree
you
with the
there's an
president?
there's an
I mean, you're saying
explanation.
there's nothing wrong.
There's nothing wrong with anyone.
there's something wrong?
No.
That is why he actually
never.
did.
The president never
We
said
have that
so.
soundbite
The
when he
president
said,
said.
Murkomen.
The president said, and I want you saying to listen. The president said it's not possible for one person to produce maize of 385,000.
I remember remember...
We have an explanation for that.
Okay.
It is possible for one individual to assist other needy farmers to move the maize and take them to NCBB.
I remember him.
And we have no shame as leaders to say things as they are.
For the record, there are 6 NCPB officials who have been interdicted. I remember the president saying very clearly, warning the cabinet secretary, you try that again, and I promise you, you'll see whatever. Try paying again these people at the expense of the farmers. He said that.
But
and the Nairobi show. You respond, Murkomen. Let me just ask a question now to Kutuny. This is from Kipkorir Nandi. Kutuny, are you a gun for hire for Gideon Moi? Because you only seem to be focusing on the deputy president.
Now, I want to tell you, to answer that gentleman, I will tell him there are characteristics of Kanoism. Kanoism is characterized by corruption, greed, killing farmers, destroying farmers, killing parastatals, hypocrisy, handouts.
Kanoism.
That is Kanoism.
That is what Kano stands for.
I am not that part of the group.
It's okay, I'm asking you. In fact, that's what you think Kano stands for?
That is Kanoism. I have not said anything. I am saying Kanoism is characterized by corruption.
Present day, right?
I am saying corruption. Greed.
That's what Gideon Moi stands for.
Killing farmers.
That's what you're saying.
So if the people who are exhibiting the characteristics of Kanoism, those are the people that should be asking those questions.
You haven't answered that.
I've answered that.
Okay.
I am not part of those. I don't fall under that category of people who survive on handouts to go for a function and shout the most.
Okay.
And in fact, the most unfortunate thing is that when we agitate for farmers' right, because I want to understand, pushing for the prices to 3,600, how does it become that gun for hire? I am pushing for the interest of the people I represent.
Can I say something there? Can I add something? Just one sentence.
You will.
Just one sentence. Honorable Kutuny, you cannot, my brother, try to pontify on television. Do you know that you are in the radar of CIA and FBI? Are you sure aware about that? Do you know your involvement in other things in this country that has made some people to be taken to the United States?
What are you talking about?
You cannot pretend here, and I'm asking him, so it's not a lie that we are talking about other people. You cannot pontify here to call other people that, they are being done this and that, and your days are numbered.
One of them, I don't want to respond to that, because you see, when people, they don't know what you do, and you appear to be okay, they will look for excuses. When we pushed for this maize issue,
but can you deny what I'm saying?
They introduced the
Can
issue
you deny what
of
I'm
ICC.
saying?
Murkomen himself was accused to be coaching eyewitnesses.
By who?
By the governor and the governor Nandi currently.
By who?
And in fact, it was in public domain that they were working very closely by Renabaga, coaching witnesses against William Ruto.
Okay.
And in fact, at some point, that was one of the issues that everybody was saying Murkomen should not be given certificate. I stood firm and I said, these are innocent people.
Okay.
And in fact, yesterday when we introduced this issue of maize, they introduced the issue of ICC. And I want to tell Murkomen, I've been a very good student of political science. There is something that we call grey propaganda and black propaganda. Grey propaganda you introduce when you find that your political ground is very slippery. That is what they're introducing. Black propaganda is you introduce when you want to attack. So they have realized that their ground is so slippery over these issues of maize. So they are trying to look for something they can hang on.
Whose ground?
But I have raised a very serious issue about you.
You will. You interrupted me when asking a question, and you actually stepped right into that question. When you're talking about them, who are you talking about?
It is in public domain. When I talk with Murkomen, I talk with his Murkomen and his team and his master.
So how is master? Let me finish. Yeah. Let me ask my question.
Who is my master?
Back to my question and what actually Korir asked. How is it not political then, now that you talk like that? How is this not political?
I've responded.
You're talking about
the
them.
Best way.
You're talking about them and his master. And not necessarily talking about maize, isn't it?
I am with the farmers. I want to put it very clear.
You're not,
because the farmers are the people who've sent me to agitate for the price of 3,600. I am not supporting the 2,300. The Murkomen is supporting. Okay. I am against the diversification.
The master, let me finish. The master, is the master you're referring to the deputy president?
Murkomen knows his master.
Okay. Do you find the president at fault here? You keep referring to the deputy president.
I find the government at fault.
I'm asking you a specific
But at the
question.
same time, I've put it very clear. I have put it very clear, and I don't mince my words. The deputy president must understand that the people from the region he comes from are suffering.
Okay.
And yet we are in government.
Fair enough.
The reason why we voted for this government
Fair enough.
is that people wanted their welfare to be gathered for, which is not being gathered for.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
But the rest of the government were also voted by people from this region who are actually Kenyans. Are you saying they have done nothing? The question is, why are you focusing on the deputy president?
I am focusing on the region where I come from because people are suffering. Before I address...
Kenyans see them as Kenyans.
Wait, before I address... And you know, Hussein, before I become Joshua Kutuny that you are interviewing here today, I was supported by the same farmers. I must agitate for that farmer who is in Uya, who is in Kipkeke, who is in Kachibora and Kaplamai, who is suffering, who has maize which he cannot deliver.
Okay.
So that is exactly what I am doing, proper representation.
All right. One more thing before Murkomen goes back to what he raised. And this is the governor, deputy governor of Kiambu County, James Nyoro, who's also the deputy, who was the food security advisor, I think, to President Kenyatta between 2013 and 2017. Talks about this price, says it's actually fair. And he says if you actually go beyond the 2,300 shillings per 90 kg bag, then consumers must be ready to pay more, because the idea is to make sure that consumers buy maize at a reasonable price.
You know,
do you agree with that? Because he doesn't want farmers to buy with that price.
The farmers, all what I am talking about a farmer, the person I represent.
That's fine.
And then two, with the issue that
they are also consumers.
With the issue that you raised, the government must put in place mechanism to ensure that the farmer doesn't suffer and the consumer doesn't suffer. And the government has all the opportunities and means to ensure that is being done. And by the way, Hussein, we are not starting this issue of maize for the first time. The maize has been there. Production has been there. Why is it that it is only this year where we have challenges of buying maize? It is because cartel took all the money, and the cartel want to import maize again.
Okay. Murkomen, as you respond to that finally, because we're going to end up now. This is about NCPB. NCPB has vetting committees, okay? They have the chief ward administrator, they have the constituency nominee, they have the ward administrator, female representative, ward agricultural officer. Now, a farmer must have been vetted and their acreage determined in advance. So this could not have happened.
It happens.
This could not have happened according to NCPB.
This
should not have happened.
Supply through
300 million.
The 300 million should not have happened.
Supply through someone.
Yes. This should not have happened. Yeah, I'm telling you. Because you say this is right.
No, not at all.
And this is according to NCPB.
For the many years, you know, some of the places where these farmers mob maize are places like my county, especially the part of places where we only produce 5 acres, 10 acres, and so forth. And this is not the first year it happened. It's been like so for 10, 15, 20 years.
Still doesn't make it right. According to NCPB, still doesn't make it right.
Can I complete? Only what you need to do is to transfer. You know, all these farmers get fertilizer from the same government. You just need to transfer your rights, the amount of acreage you did and the amount of maize you have to the person who is supplying on your behalf. And you know why? You know, Hussein, you must look at the logistical issues. Those people don't have lorries. They have no ability to take the maize to the NCPB and so forth. I don't think that we can punish those poor farmers for having a person who has assisted them to get the money in good time, to pay their school fees and so forth, so they can deliver the maize on behalf of them.
But the farmers are complaining about him.
No, not at all.
They are complaining.
The farmers never, can I tell you, Hussein? And I can't lie on national television. The farmers have never complained about people like Celestine Chepchirchir.
The farmers are
because they are thankful that they are there to assist them. It's because these are small-scale farmers.
The farmers are complaining about what has happened.
No, what farmers are complaining about, and I want you to get it right. What farmers are complaining about is the fact that most of the maize have not been collected and that they have been not paid on time. Number two, as a farmer, Hussein, I would love my maize to be bought with 5,000, 10,000, whatever amount of money. But I would like to be in a situation as a farmer where if government refuses to buy my maize in 2,300, I have the power to say, if you don't pay my maize this much, I'm going to deliver elsewhere.
Okay.
And that is why that agricultural independence is what we are looking for our farmers. And that's why when we tell you that, number one, we want contracted farming.
Okay.
Number two, we want to register our farmers.
Yeah.
Number three, we want our farmers to own their millers themselves. The reason for all those proposals is for the farmer to be independent.
Hussein, 1 year or 2 years then down the line, the same government, Murkomen himself, is still talking about farmers being registered. 1 year.
And you say you have not failed the government.
And then two.
You have not failed farmers.
Then in two.
No, at the
At
the moment, the registration mechanism for the farmers, is dependent on the chief and so forth. Now we want to move to a stage where that registration is digitized, that registration can be tracked at a centralized level.
Another issue. That's another issue on the Murkomen. Let me remind Murkomen also. You talked about, I don't know, Chirchir or someone where she is helping farmers.
Yes.
There is nothing like helping farmers. If the government takes buying center to Moiben.
And that is exactly what we have proposed.
That is why
here.
I'm saying Murkomen.
And it's not just Moiben.
Murkomen. And that is why I'm saying 6 years or 7 years being in government, we should not be talking about this thing.
Okay.
We got into this government knowing very well that these challenges were there.
So Honorable
we should have
Kutuny,
addressed.
Honorable Kutuny, you know very well you have majority both Senate and National Assembly. What have you done in Parliament about farmers?
All these are documents that we've done.
What have you done? I'm asking you a question.
All these documents. And one thing that I want to say, including part of the questions that we've raised in Parliament.
Any specific law
and I want to say,
or policy to help farmers, because as you're saying, it has really touched you, and that is only what you're doing.
And I want to say, and I want to be very fair on this issue. 1 year now that I've been in Parliament, we've brought around 7 issues touching on farmers. We thought the government was going to incorporate in their policy framework, and they have failed to incorporate. The next thing is that we are going to come up with a bill that is going to ensure that the farmer will never suffer again. And in fact, and Hussein, another thing that I keep asking myself, why do people vote for a government? They vote for a government because we expected that policy to help us.
Yes.
So I expected the government, knowing the challenges of farmers, to have initiated a bill that was going to sort this.
It didn't happen, so why didn't you?
So now we have taken the initiative.
Now,
remember, 1 year then down the line, we've only had the first harvest after being a member of Parliament.
Yeah, I'm asking you, you're doing it now.
We have formulated.
And you're blaming Murkomen for doing whatever he's doing now as well.
Because he's been there 6 years and nothing has happened.
No,
and in fact, this is part of the devolved function.
One more thing.
I think we need to put something on record.
NCPB vetting committee has a constituency nominee.
Yes.
These things were happening months before you started making all this noise.
Yeah, that's true.
Yet you're saying you were in touch with farmers and you've been caring about their issues.
Let me tell you.
How come you didn't find out then?
Let me tell you.
You didn't know what was happening?
Let me tell you. All this process was bypassed and we complain. The letter, all this is just be on paperwork. Okay. The document that was being done was the chief and the agriculture officer.
All right.
And Hussein, let me tell you.
It's important for me to respond to the fact that we are not talking about what we need to do. Number one, this is the only first year since we came to office where farmers have had a problem. Since we came to office 2013, the prices have increased continuously from 2,800 to now to last year's 3,200.
Now 2,300.
Now, because of this problem that has come with increased production, in fact, €1 is saying
has come while you're in government.
Yes, exactly. With the problem of increased production, when you subsidize the fertilizer, you have more people doing farming.
Right.
Then you increase production. Then prices go down, and prices going down is good for consumers, but not good for farmers. Now, because of that challenge, new ways of doing things must be introduced. And that's why in this report, we have not saying we will. We have already recommended various legislative changes we are going to make, and we have also proposed certain policy issues that needs to be done.
You said
therefore, Hussein, it's important to insist that as a country, if you are in a position of leadership, there is no point for you to be lamenting, and particularly skewed lamentations that are focused on one individual, when we in government, whether in the executive arm or the legislature or any other arm of government, we are supposed to provide the solution. And that's why some of us went down to the trenches and worked on the solutions.
Okay, but in the meantime, farmers are suffering for the last 1 year. And you're talking about solutions.
It's not last 1 year.
For so long?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've been in government for that long?
For that very short time.
Which short time?
6 years now.
These problems, we're saying, when does this problem come?
Okay.
This year, right?
Last year. Starting
no,
at
this
the
year.
end of last year.
No,
up to
the
now.
problem wasn't a problem of October, November.
But Hussein,
from January,
remember
February,
Murkomen,
it's when it became a problem.
But you remember,
Not
but Hussein,
yeah.
It's 11
but
months.
remember, Murkomen had earlier said that the challenges facing maize sector has been there for the last 50 years.
Absolutely.
So which means he knew.
You
so he
have done
cannot
something about
complain.
No,
that,
you know,
so he cannot
what
claim.
cushion, what protected...
Why are you saying, we're winding up now. Why are you saying he's in trouble? What are you talking about?
In trouble of?
You talked about him being in trouble.
He knows himself. I think when the news become public,
what are you talking about?
This nation will know those who have been diversifying, Hussein. When we are telling farmers to diversify to farm other forms of crops, you will realize that some people have been selling other pharmaceuticals in quotes in the name of diversifying and making money.
Okay, I'll just quote this story from the Daily Nation. So, let me take the bullet for interpreting it that way.
Yeah.
U.S. links minister, governor to Akasha Drugs Network. That was a story by John Kamau. It talked about local prosecutors are preparing to deal with requests from their U.S. counterparts. Other senior officials of the U.S. wanted lists are an outspoken Rift Valley MP, a prosecutor, 2 High Court judges, 2 magistrates, and a senior criminal investigations officer.
Ask Kutuny
This from the Akasha family.
Ask Kutuny.
We had an interview here last week, same show with DPP. Haji seems to confirm this in one way or another and saying we'll see arrest soon.
Yeah.
Or maybe, there's a collaboration with the U.S. agencies, drug enforcement agencies. Are you talking about this? Is this what you're talking about?
Can you ask Kutuny whether he knows anything about it?
You're the one who brought it up.
Yeah, ask him, he's here.
He's the one saying. Because they're in a corner. They want to hang on everything.
Hussein, when the trumpet shall be called, my friend here will have nowhere to run to.
Are you saying this is the outspoken Rift Valley MP is Joshua Kutuny? Is that what you're saying?
I don't want to say more than that.
Well, how do we take what you're saying for truth?
But the man
you're
is
on
here.
public television.
The man
you're not
himself
giving
is here.
any evidence.
The
You're just also alleging.
The man
It's
himself
the
is
same
here.
way you've been accusing him of alleging when he's talking about deputy president. Why would you say that without saying what he has done?
I am saying if I am wrong. If I am wrong, there are legal mechanisms to sue me for defamation.
So it's him. That's what you're saying.
I have said if I am wrong, there are legal mechanisms of suing me for defamation. That's all. I don't
Honorable
want to say.
Kutuny, you want to respond to that?
No, I don't want to respond. Because they introduced even the ICC the other day. So, do I have to respond?
You don't have to respond, but he's making a grave accusation
No,
here.
because you see, they have nothing to hang on. There will be all these accusations. So Murkomen, I want to tell him that, I deal with more important issues, farmers' issues. I don't deal with rhetorics. I don't want to talk to people whom they find the ground so slippery. They are part of the cartel. They are used to, looting public money.
I'm going to look at these tweets as we wind up. We have some tweets to look at as we wind up now. Some feedback now. We're going to look at some feedback now. We have them on Twitter. Yeah, we should have them. Okay, I'm going to read them. I'm going to read the tweets. We have one here from Cheriot Bomet. Truth be told, most citizens support low price in maize because for them to have ugali on the table, they must buy unga or maize. And then there's one here about what happened today in the Senate. Senator Ledama Olekina, who says it is absolutely ludicrous and hypocritical for Kipchumba Murkomen to come to national television and talk about the maize scandal, pretending to care about Kenyans, yet today he voted no on the adoption of Roraka Land Report in the Senate. Shame, shame. Farmers, you are on your own.
Do you want me to respond to that?
Yes.
That committee of Ledama and the group were investigated for soliciting bribes from other people. The report, no wonder the report they brought to the House was contradictory. On the part 1 of the report, it clears all the persons who are dealing with compulsory acquisition of land. And on the other part of the report, it pretends to be indicting certain people. I mean, we are not children.
It pretends to be indicted.
Exactly. Yeah, in the sense that if you look at the report, it says the compulsory acquisition processes, the National Land Commission did the right thing, but however...
It indicts cabinet
No,
secretary.
let me come to that.
Yeah.
It says, so therefore further investigation should be done on the commissioners and the National Land Commission. Then goes ahead to say, the cabinet secretary and the PS should be held responsible. I cannot support such a report because the report, I have said, and I have insisted, we've been with you here. I am a very consistent person. As a lawyer, if you want to find someone culpable for anything, the evidence must lead to the person.
Okay.
Not looking for the person and then you plant an evidence.
It is a trend that they were also talking about when they had
Absolutely.
a news conference in Parliament.
And
led
by the way,
Senator Orengo.
yes.
They're talking about the trend.
Yeah.
And Senator Ledamo Lekin actually said, President Kenyatta, you are on your own because all the Jubilee MPs were either not here or voted against.
First Hussein, let me tell you.
Jubilee
First Hussein, I want you to listen. The Senate of the Republic of Kenya and the National Assembly do not carry out criminal investigations by law or by any constitutional provision.
That you haven't realized now, right?
No,
always.
Yeah. And I have said, and I am consistently saying this, by the time a Senate makes criminal culpability of any individual, that is a violation of the Constitution.
Okay.
The same report, and I have said, I made my contribution. Why is this thing coming out now? When we were debating, I opposed the report.
That's fine. I'm just saying.
That's what I'm saying. I'm
coming about Jubilee senators not supporting.
No, just come in. Four of us voted against the bill. And confidently, including the report, including myself, because Hussein, this SACA is already with EACC and it's with DCI. DPP has the power to take actions.
Okay.
The committee cannot pretend to contradict itself in the report and have its cake and eat it at the same time.
Of course, you're within your rights to decide.
Absolutely.
That they're just pointing to a trend of Jubilee senators not supporting. That is what I want you to respond to. Was there a decision reached?
No, there was no decision. Everybody,
what do you make about that trend?
Everybody, I am the majority leader, and everybody made their personal decision.
It was not a Jubilee issue.
No, it wasn't like a Jubilee issue. By the way, there were NASA people also who opposed.
Right.
So it's not about Jubilee or NASA.
We have to wind
But I want to just maybe raise that an issue.
Yes.
Just to help Murkomen. Murkomen, you see, what Senate and Parliament, they will normally investigate and make recommendations.
Absolutely.
So for you to claim that perhaps maybe they indicted someone is not right.
But that is exactly what you are supporting me. You are actually supporting my position.
Then I am saying, in part of the report, because we dealt with this report.
We are with you on that
yes.
one. I agree with you.
But you could have chosen to amend, isn't it?
Yeah, we tried to, but they didn't want.
Okay, we have to end up this conversation. I mean, it's sad. I mean, looking at what farmers are going through in this country. Sadly, I'm not going to try to allege anything. But the two people I'm talking to here tonight were both paid more than 1 million. By NCPB, they supplied farmers.
Absolutely.
Both talk for farmers.
And we are not cartels.
Both talk for farmers who are not paid. I'm not saying that is wrong, but it just shows the problem that we face in this country. I don't know how it's going to be solved, but we hope for the best. But thank you.
Thank you. But Hussein, I want to say that we will not run away from the responsibility of agitating for the right of the farmers.
All right, thank you.
That is the bottom line of the matter.
Thank you,
and we
Josh.
don't want to be branded names. We are representing the farmers.
Joshua Kutuny is the MP, Cherangani. Senator Elgeyo Marakwet County, also Majority Leader in the Senate, Kipchumba Murkomen. Thank you both for making time for us.